was the boogeyman.
As a matter of fact, it was.
What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Up 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a Saw 11 update, as we have gotten a bunch of news surrounding the film over the last couple of days. If you haven't done so already, please shoot this video a like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton, as well as if you happen to be a new viewer coming across this channel, please shoot that subscribe button as well as that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. Okay, so early Monday morning, it was reported by John Squires of Bloody Disgusting that Kevin Greutert, the director of Saw X, will be returning to direct Saw 11. Now, this is great news for Saw 11, as I'm not going to lie, this is just my opinion. I kind of felt that maybe Kevin would not be returning for Saw 11 based on what he said about Saw X, how he wanted to have Saw X be like a farewell to the John Kramer character and the Jigsaw character and Tobin Bell in the franchise. And the reason why I point that out as me thinking he might not return for Saw 11 is because every movie that he has been a part of has featured Tobin Bell as John Kramer. He has not been a part of any movie that did not feature John Kramer in the Saw franchise, which would obviously be Spiral, which was the only one in the Saw franchise to not feature John Kramer in some shape, way, or form. Yes, they showed pictures of him, but I'm talking about in terms of scenes, flashbacks, or the character actually being alive. Kevin Greutert has only done Saw films that has John Kramer the character and Tobin Bell as the actor portraying the character in those movies. So, given what he said about that being a farewell, Saw X, to the John Kramer character, I was a little worried he might not return for Saw 11. But given how Saw X ended, you just had to know he was going to return to direct Saw 11. There's still obviously a story there to be told, and obviously that's what we are getting because that's been the speculation as well, that we are continuing the story from Saw X. So great news that Kevin Greutert is going to be returning as director for Saw 11. In my opinion, outside of James Wan, I feel like he is the best director for the Saw franchise. I feel like his style and the way that he takes John Kramer in different directions, as well as incorporating new characters that we can build other films off of, is second to none. So I'm really excited to see him back for Saw 11. Now, back in December, we got the news that screenwriting duo Josh Stolberg and Pete Goldfinger would not be returning to write Saw 11. And initially, I was bummed about this because of how well they writ Saw X. But then I had to take a step back and think, what is the main thing that I like about the Saw franchise the most, outside of the films, outside of the characters, so on and so forth? The main thing that I like about the Saw franchise is the fact that most of the guys who are working on a Saw film has been a part of Saw the franchise since the inception of the franchise with Saw 1. From Kevin Greutert doing the editing through films 1 through 5. Darren Lynn Bousman, he's been a part of the editing, the writing, he's done directing, so on and so forth. Every one of these guys that has been a part of the Saw franchise has stuck with it since the original film. And I think for me, that's why I can view Saw as arguably the most consistent franchise creatively in terms of keeping your creative team together more than any other franchise in horror. Some will make the argument that Scream had that with the first 4 Scream films, and I'm not against that. I will agree with you with that. But Saw is up to, now going to be 11 films, and they have consistently had the same guys working in every single department throughout the entire franchise. Whether they switch it up or not, they have had the same exact crew working on these movies. And that's why I think these movies, for the most part, come out so well. And according to World of Jigsaw, that continuity aspect of the creative team is going to remain intact, as World of Jigsaw on Twitter is reporting that Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton are back as writers for Saw 11. Now, not only is this news exciting from a continuity aspect, as both Marcus and Patrick have written for Saw before, they've written films 5, 6, and 7, but when you think of them writing for 6 and 7, especially Saw 7, those are the 2 films, Saw 6 and Saw 7, that Kevin Greutert directed before directing Saw X. Now, why I bring this up is because many fans have been dying for a Saw film to be made following the events of Saw 7, the final chapter, as many fans believe that Detective Mark Hoffman, who was left alive in the bathroom trap scene by Dr. Lawrence Gordon, who we found out in that movie, had been working with John Kramer since the second movie. After he escaped the bathroom trap scene in the original film, he had been working with John Kramer ever since. And many fans have been wanting to see a Gordon versus Hoffman showdown, being that many believe that Hoffman is not dead in that bathroom. And given the fact that Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton writ Saw 7, the final chapter, this adds to the possibility and the excitement that we could very well get a Saw 12 film that is focused on the events of the aftermath of Saw, the final chapter. Now, World of Jigsaw also goes on to confirm that Saw 11's story will be a direct continuation of Saw X's story, which was expected. As I stated earlier in the video, we kind of already had an idea that this is the direction that they were going to go in, especially if you watched how that film Saw X ended. Now, what is interesting, and I want to touch on this, is that a lot of fans are speculating that the roles will be reversed this time around in Saw 11. As in Saw X, John was in pursuit of Cecilia Peterson for scamming him and lying to him about curing his cancer. Many fans believe that the roles will be reversed based on what we've seen in the final act of Saw X, and that Cecilia Peterson is going to be our new antagonist, and that she is going to become the hunter from being the hunted in Saw 11. So again, this is just speculation, but I'm not going to lie, it is an interesting theory and speculative point. I would not be against this. It would add freshness to the Saw franchise to have a new antagonist, but it would also keep in line with the theme from Saw X that John Kramer is the hero in these two films, that he's not the bad guy. So if they do go in that direction, I personally would not be against that idea. We also get the confirmation that Tobin Bell and Costas Mandylor are returning for Saw X. Now, in terms of Tobin Bell, this was obviously expected. Well, I want to say in terms of both, this was obviously expected, especially if you are continuing the story from Saw X. You can't continue that story with John Kramer out of the picture, in my opinion. Now, in terms of Costas Mandylor returning to Saw 11, now, again, this was expected, but what is going to be interesting to see is, will he have an increased role in Saw 11? We know for a fact that in Saw X, we only heard audio of him throughout the movie with him on the phone with John Kramer, and then we do visibly see him in the post-credit scene. But he wasn't in the movie very much at all, only for that post-credit scene visibly. So it is going to be interesting to see what role Detective Mark Hoffman has in Saw 11. Now, what is even more interesting about this post from World of Jigsaw is that beside Tobin Bell and Costas Mandylor's name, you do not see Shawnee Smith's name there as returning for Saw 11. Now, I fully expect Shawnee Smith to return as Amanda Young in Saw 11, and I believe this because producer Orrin Coles, I've touched on this in a video that I posted a few weeks ago, producer Orrin Coles stated in a teaser for Saw 11, in terms of details, that John Kramer and Amanda Young are still overseas. So that right there tells me that Shawnee Smith as well will be back for Saw 11. But the fact that World of Jigsaw does not have her name posted with Tobin Bell and Costas Mandylor as returning is definitely something to keep an eye out for sure in terms of her return as we get more details surrounding Saw 11. The biggest piece of news from World of Jigsaw's Twitter post is that filming for Saw 11 starts next month. Now, I'm sure we all assumed that Saw 11 would start filming in early 2024, being that the film is going to be released in September of 2024. And we got that confirmation that March is the filming month for Saw 11. Now, what's going to be interesting to see is how much marketing do we get along the way for Saw 11, because for Saw X, we really didn't start getting any marketing up until about a month and a half, 2 months before the movie was released. We did get the first look photo in late of 2022, a couple months after Saw X was announced to be a go that it is happening. But then after that, we went like on a 7-8 month stretch where we really didn't get any news regarding Saw X up until Tobin Bell and the rest of the Saw crew did that convention in Arizona in July of 2023. So I'm going to speculate right here, right now, that it will be around the same time for Saw 11 that we really start to see marketing ramp up. I'm sure we will get some rumors and speculative points along the way, but I really think marketing won't start ramping up until about 2 months before the movie is released. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going to go with. I'm also going to look up and see if Tobin Bell has any conventions scheduled to be at around that time so that we can have a better idea when possibly more Saw 11 news could come out, being that that's the formula that they followed for Saw X. They didn't start doing a lot of marketing until after Tobin Bell did that convention in Arizona. But okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on these Saw 11 updates. Are you excited that Kevin Gruder, Marcus Dunstan, and Patrick Melton are returning to direct and write the 11th installment, as well as let me know your thoughts on how you see the Cecilia Peterson and Jigsaw John Kramer storyline playing out and concluding in Saw 11. Once again, this is I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube Horror Movie Channel. I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching.